I got introduced to alcohol at 16, and I found this wonderful feeling of release. I felt the loneliness disappear. It became my friend. It was the only friend I had. It really did start from childhood, I guess, from where I had a stepfather who reared and raised me. I never knew my real father. I found that I was never ever patted on the back for anything that I did right. I got beat up pretty heavily when I did things wrong. So I used to have fear in me all the time with my stepfather. And that's where I sort of suppressed from word go. Had no confidence in myself.
Get over here, or I'll give you a thrashing, boy.
I got caught for stealing and stuff like that, and that's how I hung around with people like that, and I ended up in boys' homes. I felt totally shattered, and I had no one to turn to. I cried all the time in the boys' home. I was lonely inside myself, within myself. I had nothing. I swore blind that I would change, and it never happened. It just never happened. Because I was so attached to the alcohol and I was so dependent on it, I sacrificed a marriage over it. I lost me 2 children. I found myself in a straitjacket in the mental health unit in Cleveland Hospital. And that's where I knew that I was really digging a hole deeper. I was getting towards what I know now, a rock bottom. I was just about ready to do this long-term program, and I woke up one morning and I was bright yellow. My stomach was way out here, my ankles were ballooned up, and the specialist sat my wife and myself down and said,
"So have you got your will made out?"
"Why is that?"
"Well, in 3 months' time, we're going to bury you. You're going to die."
"But I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to rehab."
"Yeah, well, we know that. We see that on the report that you want to do a long-term program, but it's too late. No matter what you do now, it doesn't matter. It's out of our control."
I decided to carry on. I wouldn't give up there. I decided to go to a long-term program of rehab, and I went into that program, and the worst part about it was, for me, I was an atheist. You know, I had no belief in God, and it was a spiritual program in a Salvation Army. Anyway, I faked it that I knew God, and or I had found God, and anyway, I was still out of control in there. And after, it's a 43-week program, and I'd done 33 weeks. I had 10 weeks to go, and I got back on the drink, and I was kicked out of rehab for being on the drink, 0 tolerance. I stayed out for 6 weeks, and I drank twice as bad. I realised that it was over for me, and I was still alive. I couldn't believe that there was something there. It was absolutely in my path. Went back to rehab. 6 weeks later, they accepted me back on program, and I prayed. I remember laying in bed then saying, "God, if you're for real," I said, "can you help me get off the grog?" I said, "lift the compulsions, desires and cravings from me. If you were there, show me." And that's all I prayed for. And I was praying and praying. I just didn't feel like anything was working. I believe I had like a gift come to me this one night when I was sitting down, and I had this awareness that I hadn't been fighting the alcohol. Something had changed. It had been lifted off me. And I felt quite excited about it, you know. And out of my mouth came the word, "I believe it's God." I couldn't believe I said that. I've had to deal with my past, and it hasn't been easy, especially what's come back to haunt me is the way I treated my wife. It was so very hard, and I didn't even realise that I've already been forgiven, but I couldn't forgive myself of how I treated and how abusive and physically and mentally. And I threw wonderful children, you know, that I abandoned as children, as are only kids and that, you know. And I've today been able to make amends to them. I've had to accept that one's really never accepted me back into his life. I know that I have battles like everyone else, but I don't have to run back to the drink, you know. And it's the encouragement of people like yourselves that are around me, being around the fellowship of, you know, going to me meetings and that of a night time and stuff like that. And that helps me stay sober, you know, and I live one day at a time, and that's God's blessings, you know. The old Darryl is buried, and this is the new Darryl. And, you know, I've got out of that hole. I've been given a ladder and a torch, and man, it is great to be back in life again and living life on life's terms. And that is God's grace to me, because He's given me something that I really don't believe I deserve. But today, I know God heaps His love on me, and that I am worthy of appraisal because I'm one of God's children.